Welcome to The Old World Lives, a Warhammer Fantasy Battles podcast. You can find us on Facebook at The Old World Lives, on Instagram at The Old World Lives, and you can reach us by email at theoldworldlives@gmail.com. And now, on to the episode. And welcome to this second episode of The Old World Lives, a podcast all about the Old World. And I'm Kristoffer, and with me tonight I have, Kristoffer. Say hi.
That's me, otherwise known as Krell now, apparently, to distinguish between us. Playing undead because it needs to be done.
And we also have with us Niklas. Say hi.
Hello, everyone. Coming straight from England with all the hate for Age of Sigmar.
Woohoo! And joining us for the first time is a lovely, lovely gentleman who, despite his looks, is one of the youngest of us. This is Jens. Say hello, Jens.
Hello, everybody. I am painting my Empire troops right now for Sigmar. Not Age of Sigmar, but for Sigmar.
The real Sigmar.
Yeah.
OG Sigmar.
OG Sigmar, who just wasn't there.
So you might recognize Jens's voice from his Heresy podcast, the Northern Heresy.
Yes. If you're into that.
And if you're not into that, good. Welcome to Warhammer Fantasy. We never left.
We should also mention that Niklas is from the Don't Lose Your Head podcast, and I am from the Varangian Heresy podcast. So it's only the other Kristoffer, or Krell, whatever wants to be called now. We don't discriminate. He's the only one without another podcast.
Fresh blood.
Well, if you think about it like this, I mean, yes, Heresy is dead, but Fantasy has been dead so long that it's now resurrected and returned onto our lives to bring us joy and mirth. So, Fantasy did it first.
Yeah, it's like the whole Heresy is dead thing. That kind of actually made me think about more of Fantasy, because like nothing is dead for as long as fucking people play it.
Yeah. That which cannot die forever sleeps, only to return once more.
Yeah.
On square basis.
Obviously.
And square bases are not heresy, obviously.
Okay, so we're going to have the introduction here. Then we're going to have the main segment, which is talking to Jens about all things about the Empire. From when he started up to what's the good, what's the less good, and like what the changes he had throughout the different editions. What huge kits he loves from 8th edition, and what huge kits he can live without. And then we're going to have the outro. We're going to discuss the next upcoming episode and like where we're going with this. So let's go through what were the new releases for Warhammer Fantasy this week. Yeah, I can see it.
You could probably get a really cool Ghost General from the new Age of Sigmar box, possibly.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a hard pass on that one, Captain. No. I mean, Skaven Wraiths, I don't know who asks for that, but they need to get slapped over the face. If you want a Skaven skeleton, you go buy 20 sets of the Cursed Company. That's all you need. 20 sets of that.
Pretty much.
And then you got yourself one unit.
Yeah. That you can never play with the undead because reasons.
No, they could technically be played as regular skeleton warriors.
They have orc skeletons in there.
And high-up skeletons.
Just imagine how many diverse units you can make out of 20 of those boxes then.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I keep telling you. Undead is the one true equalizer. We don't discriminate about race or size or ability. If you don't have an arm, we'll just like strap a spear around your midriff and make you go forward. Anyone can join. Speaking of which, has people done hobby?
Yeah.
I've done hobby.
Good.
Well, I think we
But
could.
let's start with Chris, because I saw you put some stuff on Instagram.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. I might have been starting my new little general for one of my forces at least, which is Garagrim Iron Fist, and I am currently working on him. And
Nice.
he's a special character for the Slayer cult list in the Storm of Chaos campaign.
I'm so fucking glad you started painting Slayers. Like since ever we started this thing, like you're like, yeah, I have a bunch of Slayers, and I've always wanted to see you paint Slayers.
Is that the guy with his dick out? Or with his butt out?
It's got a
it's
fucking
not
fabulous ass. It's like unbelievably good looking.
It is a really, really well sculpted ass, actually.
Yeah, that's a guy who's
Nice.
done a lot of like kettle squats, having like a barrel of beer on each shoulder.
I can
need
only
to get-
imagine that like the sculptor sitting and sculpting that, but he's gotta spend like days or weeks.
Just sculpting that ass. I need to get my hands on the what's it called, the Forge World Griffin riding guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that Griffin has magnificent balls sculpted on it. Full frontal nudity.
Just imagine if like that dwarf ass was what got him recruited into Games Workshop. Like it wasn't even a described project. It was just like his passion project into DeviantArt. And
Yeah, I've
Gav
seen all the
like,
stuff you've sculpted here, but what's that you got over there? That's a lovely dwarf ass. We may just have a look at that in the back office for a while.
yeah, I'm
Or
not sure if the crowd is ready for the female coming back, but let's talk more about this dwarf ass you sculpted.
Maybe
That's the
this
next
was,
Age of Sigmar release. Age of Sigmar dwarf ass.
Oh yeah.
just,
Oh wow! I just googled a picture of this griffin and those balls.
Yeah. I remember getting that when I was like 15 or 16 or something. I was like, whoa, this is not what I expected from GW and Forge World, but good on you. Someone did the research. They must have Googled like griffin balls for hours to get that right.
I've also started actually basing my miniatures, which are good. And big improvement over last time.
Yeah,
Nice.
they look dope. I mean, that mask you're using and like the ice technique, it's an education. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Probably should post that photo on the podcast Instagram when this is going live.
Yeah, and also just remember we have an Instagram hashtag the old world lives. We have a Facebook page, and we're gonna have other stuff too, of which I know nothing because Chris
Perhaps-
is the savvy one.
Yeah, I should also mention this now because I haven't mentioned it to my dear colleagues that we have a recorded intro that would be before every episode, so you will have listened already.
So I've also been doing some hobby now. I've been painting my hell cannon. It's almost done now. Just before we started this episode, I've been painting like all day, and I got the basing material on, and I'm just gonna wait for it to dry, paint some on it, and get the grass on it. And then I bought the new lacquer from Games Workshop. It used to be called Purity Seal, now it's like Monitorium something. So I just gotta like shake it for half an hour, and then have good weather, and then spray like 1 meter away, and hope that it doesn't fucking frost.
Nice.
So you're not gonna do like the British style and just put car lacquer on it so it can never be touched.
And I mean, about your like the hell cannon you're doing, I think it's just amazing the way that you asked in the thread we had, how do I make a good base so I can put the crew on and off? Because it's a pet peeve of mine where people sculpt the crew on the cannon, so I forget how much crew they have left. But
Yeah.
you've done a great job there. What did you use? Like cork, was it?
Yeah, cork. I like using cork to make stones, and I didn't really think of just cutting out the shapes for it. But it worked really well, actually.
Yeah, that was a
Amazing.
great. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and then I just like took the cork off and kind of made it go into the base.
Yeah, that was a great idea by Chris. And I like how Chris said, "Who doesn't have blue foam at home?" And the rest of us just dragged our feet and went. So Jens, what have you been working on?
I am currently working on, let's see, how many? 6 swordsmen for my Empire army. I've done 10 before and a handful of handgunners. So with these guys done, I'm going to paint the command group next. And that's the first complete unit done.
All right.
And I've glued some pistoliers, but I'm not painting those for a while.
Come on, they're great.
I fucking
Yeah.
love pistoliers.
I've forgotten how to paint horses, so I'm going to have to like freshen up on some YouTube tutorials before I get into that, because I haven't painted a horse in what, 5 years?
If you find a good tutorial, send it over to me as well. Cause I got
Yeah.
it loads.
Yeah, you've got some horses to paint.
Yeah, that's what I call an ASD, awkward spouse discussion. Like you're up 4 o'clock in the morning, you have like a free screen setup, just horses running from every angle doing stuff. And she's
Yeah,
like,
that wouldn't be the strangest thing.
Jens, go to bed. Shh, soon.
Yeah, it's an Appaloosa.
Look at the pony. It's magnificent.
Be the pony.
We were actually talking before we started the episode about this old like Age of Sigmar joke rules they had. Like if you raised a goblet and said for the lady, you could re-roll stuff with your Bretonians. if you show up to a game in Stockholm wearing like one of these rubbery horse masks, I will let you
You
reroll
won't
every
be.
failed
Well,
cleverly
you
charge.
won't be. You won't be the weirdest person there.
No.
Anyway.
I mean, when I play undead, I obviously wear a cloak and a robe, and like
Of
I have
course.
a luchador mask on with a skull on it, and I refuse to be called Kristoffer.
You go only by Krell.
Or
Oh, yeah.
El Cristoforo.
El Cristoforo del Muerto. Yeah, so I guess it's me, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of weird because I finished up all my troops. I took the Kristoffer approach, which is the adult, reasonable, intelligent thing. I finished up all my troops. I think I put up some pictures about that, but I can do it again. So I have like 45 skeletons, 10
I
ghouls.
think you posted them on your personal, but not the podcast account.
Yeah,
So-
I'll redo that, no problem. I just need good pictures as well. So I need to like, I've done all my wolves, and I love the wolves, but now I don't really know how to go forward. I've done 2 HQ units, but now I need to get started with my Graveguard, which I'm really looking forward to doing, but I don't really know which end to start at. But
Is it
today,
the old metal Graveguard or is it?
yes,
Nice.
yes, it is.
Those
Shout out.
were, by the way, my very first Wormer models, I think.
Nice.
3
You still
great
have
cards.
you
I
still
have
have 'em?
one of them.
Oh,
I have my first Warman model, a plastic Woodwolf Archer. I found it in my cousin's house a few, like 2 years ago. I was like, oh, did I give you this? This is like OG stuff. So I took him back home, and he looks like shit, but I love him.
you keep him on your painting desk as a lesson in humility.
Yeah, he's not even got like, I haven't even painted the whole model. Some areas are still gray plastic. So
The Graveguard
great.
I have is like there's a lot of metal showing around that one.
Oh yeah. I
And
mean,
then he's painted with like my dad's airplane model colors.
yeah,
Like the-
so is mine.
but is he the correct undead color for that era of history?
Like
It's
bright red.
gray cloak and yellow trimmings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
that's correct.
Yeah. Shout out to Joachim Moritz, who I also met through 30K, because he sold me all his old fantasy, and among them was like 20 Graveguards of 5th edition, which comes in
Nice.
3 poses. One is leaning forward screaming, one is leaning back screaming, and one is generally waving sword in the air. And I got 20 plus a command section for that. So,
Nice.
Ooh.
so I'm really looking forward to doing it. I also broke down and bought like the 8th edition White King, because Jimmy, who can't be with us today because he's traveling, he showed me how dope that model is.
Yeah.
So I bought another one.
I've got the vampire from the Black Coach, the one in the coffin. I'm going to use that for my Mordheim War, but I'm just going to put him on a square base and just have him in the coffin, just running around.
Yeah, he's really cool because I remember that guy. I was willing to
Yeah.
get the Black Coach just for him and like the coach driver, who is a white
Yeah.
just screaming and
I have
holding
the
a
coach
brain.
driver somewhere. If you want him, I'll send him to you.
Please do. I will
will.
send you. I can send you a bag of human models.
Yay, humans!
Don't question the contents too much.
Contains humans.
May actually contain. I also I bought a bunch of more vampire models, and I'm fighting with PostNord about getting all of my eBay models because they won't tell me, but obviously they got my package and they forgot it. So the girl on the phone told me like, "It's midsommar. You have to give us more time." I'm like, "But you've had it for a month. I just want to know, is there a problem? Is there something I can do? Just pay your fee." But you haven't asked me to pay. I literally can't do it. Call me next week again. Okay, whatever, lady.
I just want my stuff.
Yeah.
Swedish Postal Service.
Yeah, you really missed that, don't you, Niklas?
Fucking love it in London. Like whatever you order is here like the next day. It's crazy.
Shit, I want that.
Like I want 3,000 points of Kislev, and it's just there the next
Bam.
day.
How do you
Nice.
want them? In an egg
Well,
carton.
that you should mention that, Niklas, that's your side project.
Yeah. So I'm doing a Kislev army for 6th edition.
That is such an expensive army.
Yeah. It's not immensely expensive. I found like a good deal. I mean, usually you have to find like fucking single models or eBay.
Yeah. For the stuff you bought, you got a really good deal on that.
Yeah, because this friend that I knew, I knew that he had like Kislev. I heard that he had a Kislev army, and then I asked him like, "So do you happen to have anything for sale?" And he's like, yeah, actually, like, or do you have any pictures I can get some inspiration? He's like, no, everything is unassembled actually, and it's in plastic, and I have an entire army that I'm willing to sell. Like, holy shit! Like, you don't really find this shit. Crazy coincidence that I just happened to know a guy that had that thing for sale.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kissel is fucking awesome. It's gonna be a fun project. But yeah, I need to learn how to paint fucking horses.
Yeah, I'll see what I can find tutorial wise, and but we'll probably have to paint our horses differently because you're gonna get some fucking crazy Russian horses.
Type of ponies.
Yeah, but I'll see what I can do. I can probably source up. My sister have like the biggest collection of min häst known to mankind. So we could probably find something in there.
I was gonna say that I also read a book, The Riders of the Dead by Dan Abbott.
Oh yeah, that's a fucking good book.
That's a
so
great
fucking
book.
good. I just love how they describe the horses in there. Just like the Empire guys had these really big brown steeds. They're like really splendid, and like they cut their tails and they wound their manes and stuff, and then they come to Kissel and he's riding around what they describe as steppe ponies. And they're like these small but ferocious horses. They're like they can just ride on forever, and they eat like dead grass or whatever. And then the Empire horses like won't eat that grass and get tired after like galloping across the plains. The ponies just go on.
It's like a Russian tractor or something. It just keeps on going. Just piss in the tank. It'll keep on going.
Right.
When you said steppe ponies, I think you said steppe ponies. Like steppe. Stit.
I can really recommend that book though. It's really fucking good. If anyone hasn't read it.
Yeah, that's a great. I got it actually in when Games Workshop Stockholm celebrate like 10 years or 20 years or something. I don't know, but they had a lottery and I won that book and like a big bag of bits. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I fucking love that entire era because it was during 6th edition, like the whole Storm of Chaos thing. I fucking love Storm of Chaos.
Yeah.
I remember I had that book as well. I wasn't playing in 6th edition actually. I was collecting, and I like bought the books, mostly looking at the pictures. But yeah, I fondly remember Storm of Chaos.
How old were you then? Because you were pretty young. Yeah.
I must have been like 12 or something.
Oh, you were one of those kids.
Did you try to pay them in 10 öringar?
Yeah,
Do you even remember those?
They didn't exist in my time.
They didn't really exist in our time either.
Yeah, they did. They
We
were
can
around
pretend.
until I was like 5. I bought candy with that shit.
That's all it was good
Yeah.
for.
I can also mention that The Riders of the Dead is actually still available from Black Library on their site.
Ooh. Yeah.
As an
Fucking go
ebook,
get
but
it.
still.
Yeah. Dan Abbott is fucking king. He's so good at just like describing a world. It's not like just fucking bolter porn. It's like you get to know what drives the characters. You're right.
And
That's the
Niklas,
thing. Yeah, sorry, Chris.
I was
Go
going
on.
to say that, Niklas, you could really just look at the cover of that book and realize that the horses should be red and white.
Only I'm gonna pin my Griffin Legion like that.
And will look
The
really
special,
awesome.
special unit. Yeah.
I really want to send like a barbershop quartet to Niklas singing the song "My Lovely Horse" from Father Ted. I'm gonna link that to our Facebook page. No, I mean Dan Abnett's great because not only does he do good world building, he can imbue the characters with decent motivations and understandable reasoning, but still make it feel reasonably localized. Like I can understand how these people use reasoning, but obviously the way they view their culture is completely different from mine, and that really excites you.
Yeah.
Actually, I just realized something. Something came out of Warhammer Fest, which we can actually talk about, I guess, loosely. They mentioned that there will be no video games made in the Age of Sigmar property for the foreseeable future. It's all going to be in the old world.
Nice.
Mm.
I've logged like, well, I keep the game running, so it's not totally true, but around 900 hours of total Warhammer.
Oh shit!
So that's what
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I bought Total War Warhammer 2 during the Steam sale. So I mean, they're really good games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps you up at night, and it's good. It's good when you have a baby. The baby can just sleep on you, and you play Total Warhammer 2.
Yeah, I need to get the second one. I only had the first one. The last campaign I
I'm
played
the
was
same.
fucking. I downloaded like a mod so I could play another dwarf faction. So I played Baragvar,
Nice.
and I was building a strength, and then the main dwarves were building a strength, and then it was like this massive dwarf civil war. And then
Dwarf on dwarf action.
yeah, and then when I was
Hot.
finally done, like the rest of the world was just fucking wasteland. Like, oh, maybe I should have helped.
That's happening to me because, like, I'm playing the vampire counts, obviously, and I've wiped out everything within up to like the Empire and like the Wood Elves, and then suddenly the Warriors of Chaos come running through, and Archon comes on, and I'm like, I'm gonna bitch slap you. So I defeat all Chaos, and apparently now everybody loves me because I'm a hero that stopped the Chaos Horde.
You're a hero.
That
It
was almost what happened when I played vampires as well, when I was allied with Bretonia and all of the Empire factions.
Yeah, I'm allied with Wood Elves and Bretonia, and I make them play nice. The only people who don't like me, is the dwarfs, because like the main faction of dwarfs has defeated all other dwarfs. So it's like the super dwarf. That's interesting to know, because if you played the Mordheim game, or you've played Total War Warhammer or Vermintide, they're really fun. They're cheap now. You can get them, immerse yourself in the old world, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the only world we need.
There's also another decent book available at Black Library still as an ebook, which is Hammers of Ulrich.
Ooh, I need to get a look into that.
I haven't read it. We should do like a segment in a future episode about our favorite books as well. 'cause there are a lot of
Square-based
good
book club.
It's hip to
Yeah.
be square.
Yeah.
And then we can go way, way back because there's some really good books.
Oh yeah.
The old fluff
Yeah.
there.
Actually, I don't know if it's pertinent to this. If not, you can cut it out, Chris, because I think you're the one who told me about Genevieve de Argon, like the
Mhm.
character.
Yep.
Because I checked it out, and apparently Genevieve is a character for the Warhammer fans. She's like a vampire, like a decent vampire, for the guys who don't know.
Yep.
And she was created by a character who's named Kim Newman. And I've read a bunch of different books by Kim Newman, who's
It's
about
the
like
same.
yeah, and she's in there too. It's like alternative history, but
Ooh.
Dracula took over Victorian England.
Yeah, and I think there's a third series as well going.
Yeah, probably. Because if you like Victorian horror, I can really recommend like the Kim Newman.
Aren't they doing like an Age of Sigmar horror?
They're doing a
Thing.
Warhammer horror.
Yeah, and
Age
aren't
of
they
Sigmar-
like re-releasing that stuff?
Age of Sigmar is horror.
It's a nightmare. Everything's on round basis. What's going on?
It's chaos. What's going on? I don't even know.
Nothing ranks up properly either. That's horrible.
How am I gonna get this into movement trays? It just keeps falling over.
I actually saw him in a wargaming match recently where the guy just brought in his 40k chaos army, and he had formation, but there was a lot of like empty rounded slots in them, so he could put in his guys. But his Lord of Change and like his Bloodthirster was on a round base, so they're always like, well, actually, if this was on a proper square base like this one I'm holding in my hand, he'd not be able to charge me right now, so he can't charge me right now. And the guy who was playing with Skaven was just like, my God.
Jeez.
Jesus, Matt.
Yeah.
No, I like it. Also, if you're listening to this, you should probably know, if you look into the old world, what is it? Old world battles or something? Mini Wargaming has like 120
Yes.
videos. It's all 8th edition, but still, it's good.
And they have some 6th edition as well. Older.
Oh, yeah.
Just
World
ignore
Wars.
their semi-ignorant cheating.
Who cares? I love
No.
those videos. They're really good. I really like battle reports in fantasy as well, because it's very like you can really see a difference in like where everything is depending on the round, and like it's really easy to follow it, because in both 30k and 40k, like units can move everywhere. You're just like
Yeah.
running all over the place. So you like, yeah, but what happened? Oh yeah, this guy shot, and then they shot some more, and then they shot and shot and shot, and now stuff is dead. But in fantasy, it's more crucial where you place your stuff, and you can really see clearly where everything's going.
It's a game for gentlemen.
It is.
Yeah.
Except for the charge ranges, it's like really set. You can move this here, you can do this there. The only thing with the charge ranges, you need to remember that you get your movement plus the dices.
Yeah.
And the magic might be a disconcerting unless you've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's it. So I guess we're all presented. Does anyone have anything else for the intro segment?
I was thinking that we could do like we did in the first episode and give Jens a few minutes to properly introduce himself now that he's been talking for a while. I mean,
Oh shit!
Yeah, who are you, Jens? What
Yeah.
are you doing here?
I don't know. I've been.
why are you Jens?
I am an old school Warhammer player. I've been playing since I don't even know what edition. I got a Ravening Hordes book at home, like the little pamphlet you got in the White Dwarf.
I think that was for 6th edition.
Was
And,
it 6th edition?
Yeah, there were one before that. I think that was like 3rd edition or so. But
Yeah, I
heard
think
there
it was
one for
3rd
6th
edition then, because I didn't have shit back then. I just want to play Wood Elves, and all I got was a plastic kit with like 8 or 10 monopose plastic archers, and a box of scouts, like a blister pack of scouts, some Glade Guard, and a mage on a Warhawk. That was all that was out, I think.
Yeah, that's 5th to 6th edition.
Yeah, that was some good stuff. I lost like all of my games.
They did have some really lovely spearmen, I think.
Oh yeah, I
remember.
sat on one of those one time.
Yeah.
That was some good shit. And the fucking metal tree man, that was like half a kilo of just lead that you can pound someone with.
You should feel this fucking hell cannon.
Yeah, I felt that hell cannon. I've been fingering that hell cannon before you even got it, son.
Are you married to the hell cannon?
You should be. No, but I've been playing for 15 years on and off fantasy. Stopped playing fantasy like 5 years ago when it started dying out with 8th edition. Just wasn't my jam. And then you guys convinced me to start painting stuff again. You made it sound so fun.
It was not hard.
No, it was not hard. It was literally, I might want to do a small Empire army, and now I spent like 2,000 kroner, 3,000 kroner on Empire stuff.
Good.
Yeah. And Empire stuff is cheap. I'm just keep buying stuff.
Well, I mean, we established a currency in the last episode, so we came to the conclusion that 250 Swedish kroner is one high elf battalion. So you've only spent like 8.9 high elf battalions, and that's our new official currency.
That's nothing. Yeah, high elves seem to be like the trash of Warhammer Fantasy. It's just out there for cheap.
Yeah, and keep it like that, because I might have to reinvest a small force into high elves.
Yeah, maybe high elves will be like the Bitcoin of the.
If someone starts to buy them,
Warhammer
and all of a
Fantasy.
sudden they triple in value.
Yeah.
If Dennis Rodman can turn the North Korean summit into his new weed-based microcurrency, then I'm pretty sure we can do as well with high elves.
Or we just get Dennis Rodman to buy a bunch of high elf battalions and.
Dude, he's a crazed out former elite league actor and basketball player who does drugs and hangs out with Kim Jong-un.
Yeah,
Of
seems like
course
he would
he-
like high elf.
Yeah, of course he plays high elves.
Yeah, that goes without saying. But I got like I've got mostly Empire stuff right now. I've had Wood Elves was my first army. Then it was Undead. Then it was Empire. Then it was Dwarves. Then it was back to Empire. Then it was back to Wood Elves, and then it back to Dwarves, and then Skaven, and now I'm back to Empire. Oof.
So
I've been
why
through some
Empire? Why Empire?
puffy shirts, man. Gotta love it.
What is your preferred city-state or province?
Middenheim, that white and blue, and just reading the Storm of Chaos book with like all of that stuff in the White Dwarf, and the book itself. Just watching those bearded men on the walls in their white and blue outfits.
Yeah, it's a cool region.
Yeah, grim dark and just dark.
Why no Nuln? Nuln.
Just spray it black, paint some faces, get everyone a gun. Too easy, man. Too easy.
Cavalry
That's
trained for everyone.
That's
Yeah.
also almost how they did the Middenheim army. They sprayed it blue and in the
Yeah.
faces.
Yeah, I've got a few white patches on mine, but it's pretty close to just being blue. Got to keep it easy.
Yeah, Nolan is also cool. Freaking
Yeah.
love Nolan and Tamarkan.
Yeah, Visenland and Noln are the two secondary city-states that I might do. Yeah, If I get a
it's
hold
in your mind, if it's in your mind, it's gonna happen.
if I get a hold of my cousin, I remember he had a Citadel journal or whatever it was called with the little short stories and stuff that had the siege of Old World geography is not my strongest. I think it's Herzig. I can't remember, but it's a Beastman siege of the capital of Wissenland, and that shit just gave me such a raging. The Electro Count put the families of his archers just right behind them on the battlefield so they wouldn't run away. Just you stick your arrows in the ground so you can't take them with you if you run away. You hold the line. Yeah.
Classic
So
Wissenland.
grim.
Yeah,
So
that was grim shit, and I just love that. So maybe a siege themed Wissenland force one day. Who knows?
Is Wissenland the area that's right next to Middenheim?
No, it's like I
It's
think
down
Nuln is a
towards
part of
Solland.
Wissenland. Yeah, I think Nuln is a part of Wissenland that's like it's a city state of its own, but it should be a part of Wissenland. I can't remember.
Do you remember in like 6th edition? I only know it because it was in the Warhammer Count book, but they had like this huge diorama with the siege of some big imperial city where Vlad von Karstein was defeated and killed. It was at Warhammer World. It's like a huge diorama.
In what book did you say?
Yes. That like the big one. Yeah, I've got it here. It's Games Day 99, 22 feet long and 10 feet wide, 2,000 zombies, and the vampire Antoine von Karstein.
Yeah, it's Stutterburg.
Yeah, but there's some lovely yellow and red dudes.
So that's basically one of those generated von Karsteins that just pops up in...
Random name generator plus von Karstein equals one angry vampire. Yeah,
because I remember reading like the first End Times, Nagash, when I was still like cautiously optimistic about this end time thing. And it was like every battle was like, now for the order of battle, for the Electro Count, we have this historical character, we have this badass guy, we have this badass hunter, and for the vampires, we have Vlad von Karstein and 18 random vampires.
18 random von Karstein.
Yeah, it was also like, yes, the despised cousin, Jonas von Karstein. Oh no, Jonas got killed.
Oh no, not that guy.
And then it's like, well, obviously Vlad meant it this way because he didn't trust him. And now they had like cousins just coming out of the wazoo.
Yeah, it's that family tree must be insane.
Well, not all of them are vampires either. They're still living humans.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's in like the 6th as well as the 8th edition that they don't give the blood kiss or whatever they call it. They don't embrace anyone because having a useful human is a lot more valuable to them than having another vampire because they've got a crypt full of vampires, but a decent human who can be out negotiating with the Empire, doing practical stuff, eating food and not being an asshat is really rare.
Yeah, just being able to stay in the sun is like, ooh, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I'll keep you as you are.
And all they want is like becoming vampires or becoming necromancers. And I just imagine Vlad trying to micromanage HR. Like, no, you can't embrace Gillian from accounting. She can't do accounting if she's unfucking dead.
And then all of a sudden, we have true blood on our hands.
And we're back for the main segment for this episode, in which the delightful Jens Treff is going to talk about all things Empire, why he shows them why they're the best, and why the vampire counts really deserve to live there more than anyone else. Go on.
All right, I've got three things for you. I got great cannons, I got great mustaches, and I get great puffy shirts. That's the three things that makes Empire the best fucking army.
Those are all three great things.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Sure is.
Then
are.
This topic is settled and we can move on.
Yes. Oh, and I've got to say, I was wrong before about the siege thing that I talked about in the previous segment. It was in Hochland that there was a siege. So it was the Electric and Hochland that did that stuff. Just so no one is going to email us and say, actually, you were wrong about stuff that you read 15 years ago and didn't remember correctly.
How dare you?
I want someone to write us and say, actually, the curled mustaches and the puffy shirts of which you speak is mostly a Middenheim occurrence influenced by the barbaric German states. Yes.
Well, I actually got the uniforms and heraldry of the Empire in my hand right now, and I can say that on every page, every city-state, and every place I look, there's puffy shirts, so don't come and tell me that.
I want to say that I fucking love like all the fantasy books when Empire's in it. and they're with other like humans, other Bretonians or kids or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, these people are so unfashionable. Why are they
Yeah.
walking around with puffy shirts?"
No shoes and a puffy fucking shirt. That's classy.
I remember reading one of the old Warhammer fantasy books, and I thought it was a parody because I'm not kidding here. One of the Empire POV characters literally curled his mustache while thinking, and he did it
Yes.
like every fucking sentence. It's like he curled his waxed mustache, and at the end it was like, obviously his squire was dead. Thusly, he would be denied his usual mustache wax.
Oh no. I'm gonna be a mustache waxer. A mustache wax producer in the Empire must be like a high-paying job.
Well, it
They
is in
run through
hipster
so much
Stockholm
wax.
as well. In hipster
Yeah.
Stockholm, it is.
I think
Less puffy shirts and less like great swords, but otherwise pretty much the same. When I look through this book,
in the Empire, it's actually just like a mandated peasant job, so you're bonded serf having to make it.
well, actually looking through this heraldry and uniforms book, everyone looks like if you just put like a suit on them, they'll be a Stockholm hipster. Just weird mustaches and beards all around.
Snorky faces.
Yeah.
Sure, I own the local brewery.
Yeah.
I actually read the other day that I don't know, but a couple of people living next to Tantelund had gotten chickens, and for me, having lived in the countryside during the summers, it's just mind-boggling stupid because apparently a fox had gotten in, and they were super angry because they hadn't put up chicken wire around the coops, and they didn't have like a roof on the chicken coop, and they're like, "Oh no, the fox ate all our fucking chickens," and I'm like, "Wait,
Yeah.
we
What did you?
yeah, but we used to own chickens. You know how long time it takes for a fox to eat even one? What the hell went on there? Like, did it go away?
Where were you?
Yeah. But beyond that, Jens, when you started with Empire, like, was it a limited list?
Yeah, I got the starter set for what was it, 5th edition or 6th edition with the Orcs and the Empire guys. I can't remember
Great starter box. The 6th edition.
6th edition, yeah, 6th edition starter box. I got that and split it with my cousin, so he got the Orcs and I got my my puffy shirt men. And not really a limited list. There's lots of choices. Like there's how many? 3 Lord choices, 4 hero choices, lots and lots of core units. But everything is basically your regular weapon skill 3, toughness 3 dude with maybe light armor if you're lucky, and maybe you get a shield if you pay extra for it. So you get lots of basic humans. That's what you get. And you can get some cannons and stuff, but nothing really in the 6th edition book. Nothing strange and weird that you get like in the 8th edition codex instead.
Oh, you mean like tanks and
yeah, the steam tank's not in here.
The steam tank was released in White Dwarf and later the General's Compendium for 6th edition.
Yeah, you got the Hellblaster in here. That's about the weirdest thing.
But you had the mortar, right?
Yeah, mortar, great cannon, and Hellblaster.
It's a very versatile army though compared to a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, you can do an all-mounted army. I mean, the knights are core units if you don't upgrade them to Inner Circle.
Yeah.
But
they only had heavy armor in 6th edition, right?
yeah. No, they have full plate. Sorry, full plate armor.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'd have like heavy knights that can rival fucking Bretonia knights, and then you have light cav with double pistols.
Yeah.
Lots of infantry, lots of artillery, mages. They had everything.
Yeah, it's a very versatile army. You can do a balanced force with a bit of everything, or you can do an all-mounted force. You can do like big blocks of infantry. You can do shooty army. You can do a close combat army. Anything you fucking want.
And that's like tying into the historical sources because, I mean, Chris and Jens, feel free to correct me, but the main like reference material they used to spin the Empire out of that, like the 1630s different independent duchies during the 30-year war, isn't it?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm no history expert, but
Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah, that's the feel I get for this with the great swords and all that.
Yeah, and also like
hunters.
That's the way you fought during that era. You had big blocks of infantry going up to one another, like throwing themselves into one another and fighting. And actually, the Swedish king, the king of the north, Gustav II Adolf, was a bit of a revolutionary because the way he fought, he had mobile artillery. But like you had artillery, big blocks of units, and you went up and you fought until one side broke and ran away. And you usually had mercenaries, which the Empire has a lot of.
Well, you mainly had mercenaries. The standing armies were quite small, and then you paid for city-state armies basically to join up.
Yeah, and then you had people like Alexander von Tilly, who fought for like everyone as one chunk until he died.
And the Swedish king basically paid his army with French coin. So
yeah, and like the Pistoliers. Yeah, and the Pistoliers are a great example of that. Sorry if I take over, Jens, because
no, go ahead.
That's the way you fought. You fought with a caravole. You went up, you fired your guns, then you made like a big U-turn and went back to your side and reloaded.
And then at it again. But if you look at the like 8th edition army book, you get some more weird stuff. You get the witch hunters. You get let's see, what more do we have? We have the Demigriff Knights, the War Altars. You got the Outriders with the repeater handguns. Those were actually in the old army book, but they make a reappearance here. You get the Hellstorm Battery, steam tanks, celestial hurricanes, luminarchs, whatever they're called, stuff like that. So a bit more high fantasy, a bit more steampunk, but all in all, it's still basically you get your big blocks of infantry. You have to paint like 50 state troops for every unit to make them do anything. But it's all fun because they got puffy shirts. Not as puffy as before. Bit smoother.
Back in the days.
Yeah. In my time, it was puffier. The newer kits are actually not puffy enough to my liking. The stuff that I bought recently, the guy I bought them from had sculpted puffy sleeves on the Spearman. So
I prefer the older ones as well, like 6th edition Empire, even if they're like more monopost.
Yeah, you can do some fun things with them. They're
I like them, and they have fucking shoes.
Yeah, no fucking bare feet running around.
And if we are talking like rank and file large block of infantry, they shouldn't be that individual anyway. So it fits when they're a bit more monopost.
Yeah, having to rank up the halberdiers. I've got like 50 halberdiers before in my old army. That was a fucking nightmare. If they'd been monoposed, like the old guys just standing with their halberds straight up, easy peasy. I can rank those guys up all day.
I do fucking love the newer great swordsmen. I love those.
Yeah, that kid's great. But the old ones, damn, I love those too.
Yeah, but they're fucking metal. It's gonna be pain in the balls, and the new ones look really good. So I use those.
Metal is the best material. Plastic is a bit too new for me.
Yeah, I do have a lot of metal miniatures as well, but
yeah,
they are a pain sometimes.
There's something hefty. There's some credence to the metal models. Like when you're moving around, you paint them, you place them. It feels like you've done something solid.
Yeah, we played a Mordheim game yesterday. And this guy had his orcs and he had some squigs. And I thought, oh, those squigs look exactly like my old metal squigs. So I'm going to assume that they're metal. And I pick it up and it's fucking plastic. I've never been, when you pick up a milk carton and it's empty and you think it's full. That was the feeling I got from that squig. It was so weird. So weird.
I really like individual metal models, but fucking try moving a 20 block of slayers up a hill.
Yeah. When those guys fall over, they're just like, oh, that feeling you get when you see them just scrape against each other.
Yeah, and the sound.
Yeah, that's a heart-wrenching sound.
But I've got to ask, Jens, what kind of like army do you play for the Empire? Is it like large blocks of infantry, or is it knightly orders? Is it badass priests, magic?
The army that I'm going to play now, that I'm working on, I've built up a rough list, and it's going to be a little bit of everything because I want to try and paint as much varied stuff as possible so that I don't get bored. So I'm going to get some, like 2 blocks of regular state troops, some handgunners, a big block of tutoring guards, because you got to have big bearded men with 2-handed hammers, a few knights, some pistoliers, a cannon or 2. Nothing too fancy, just a bit of everything.
So the tutoring guard, were they in the book or were they in the Storm of Chaos?
They're not in the book. They're in the Storm of Chaos book, but you can just as well use the regular greatsword rules. They're basically exactly the same as a greatsword, except they strike at initiative with strength 5 instead of.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're strength 4 base and have basically halberds. The two-handed hammers count as halberds. Or you can do them as great swords and they just have two-handed hammers and they strike last with the same strength. So
I like that. Because the Tugen Guard are like in history, they're a famed regiment, right?
oh yeah, they're the great swords of Middenheim, because Middenheim doesn't have fucking swords, like hammers and axes, just like dwarfs.
Like Ulrich wanted.
Yeah, I'm sensing a theme that if you have a beard, you like hammers and axes, and everyone else just swords and spears.
So like, I'm gonna show my ignorance straight up here. What HQ units do you prefer? Because to me, I just very basically know you can have like the warrior priest, you can have the mage from any mage school, you know. So I'd be glad to come back to that. Or you can have like a knightly grandmaster, right?
Yeah, if edition book, we can check the. Let's see, for the hero units. Oh, we can take the lord unit first. You can have an electro count. He's basically a glorified captain. I wouldn't put too much faith in him. He's good if you want to have someone with high leadership to hold the line, but he's not a fighty character. He's got his 3 attacks and he's got weapon skill 5. But if he goes toe to toe with another lord, he's gonna just taste the dirt. Unless you put him on a griffin, of course, but then it becomes ridiculously expensive.
I want to see him fight a vampire.
Yeah, he can try. He will lose. Unless he's got a fancy magic item called the Van Horstman's Speculum, which mirrors my weapon skill. And let's see, what is it? Strength, toughness, and initiative. Swap that with your enemy. Strength, toughness, initiative, and attack.
Shaggy.
Yeah, so that's some good stuff. Then you got the Templar Grandmaster, which is your knightly lord. Twice as expensive as the Electro Count, but he's got weapon skill 6, he's got 4 attacks, he's got initiative 6, he's got a lance, full plate, shield, barded warhorse, everything that. Just, you don't have to tool him up as much. And he's your fighty character, but he can just about only go with the knights, and they don't really need that much help with the punch. Or you can take a wizard lord, level 3 wizard, from any school you want. Shadows, death, light, whatever you want. But then we come to
the basic ones, right?
Yeah, the basic ones can't have high magic or stuff like that.
Yeah, they don't have their own lore.
Nope, just the basic ones you can choose.
Yeah, it's versatile but simple. Like
And that's how the elves thought them to use magic as well, because a human can't hold all of them.
You can have one of these, not all of them.
But I
you
think
burn,
that's pretty. Oh, sorry, Chris. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say you burn up if you try to use all of them. Several skills at once. You have to compartmentalize yourself if you're just a weak human.
Unless you're built like elves.
Yeah, gold man.
And I mean, that's kind of representative for the Empire, right? And this is not trying to like slag off on unions, but they can do everything, but not as specifiedly good as any other race.
You're pretty basic at everything, but you can do it pretty well. Yeah.
Until you get the Griffin Knights.
Exactly. Then we go to the heroes. You got some more stuff. You got the captain, which is basically same stats as an electro count, except you got 2 wounds instead of 3 and leadership 8 instead of 9. But if you want like a cheap fighty character to get some punch to your units, you can add a captain here or there. But the gold stuff is the warrior priest. It's a bit expensive, but he can cast some cool bounce spells. And he gives the unit he joins hatred, which is pretty handy. So put that guy on a horse with your knights, and you don't have to miss with all your attacks on the charge, which happens way too often. Or you can put it with great swords and have them punch above their weight as well.
He's a cool guy. I remember him like that character from like the intro of Mark of Chaos.
Oh yeah. That game was fucking rad.
Yeah, such a good cinematic.
Yeah. Then you got the master engineer if you want your cannons to be better, but who needs that? I'm pretty good at guessing cannon ranges anywhere. So
and
not really.
Misfires.
Yeah. First roll of the dice is always a misfire. That's tradition. But he's pretty cheap. You can put him in, like, if you're gonna have a cannon, a mortar, and a you might as well splooge for a master engineer as well. Put in somewhere in the middle of those to help them out a bit.
Yeah, he can be used as an extra crewman as well, can't he?
Yeah. But if you get a Hellblaster, he can be pretty handy. But cannon and mortar, get another mortar, get another cannon instead.
It's only if you really want that long rifle.
Yeah.
I actually remember that guy because when I stopped playing Civ 6 at 7th gear round, my friend tried to pitch me back in, and apparently the master engineer could be allowed to take pigeon bombs in 7th edition.
Yeah, mechanical horses and pigeon bombs. That was the shit.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, that's some cool shit.
That mechanical horse is a really good model.
Yeah, I need 5 of those for business purposes.
Reasons.
Yeah.
Inner circle knights.
Yeah, mechanical horse knights. That would be fucking awesome.
Secret
they're gonna
equestrian purposes.
Yeah, they're gonna battle wizard, just your regular fucking wizard, level 1, who can be upgraded to level 2, and have a horse and some magic items. But they're not fighty characters. They're more there to buff your units. They can't take on enemy units on their own unless you tool them up with like the most expensive magical weapons, and even then they're not that good. So just to buff your units, just to make them a little bit better, stay in combat longer so you can flank them with your knights, stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember that like the combat mages, even if you had like a fire mage, you were best suited to like hang around elite infantry and like stack the odds in your favor.
Yeah, but speaking of stacking the odds in your favor, the most special thing about the Empire Army book is the detachment rule. So for every unit you have, like core unit, you can have a half as big unit as a detachment to that like mother unit. So if you have 20 guys, you can have one detachment of 10 other guys and then one detachment of 10 other guys. So let's say I take 20 halberdiers. That's pretty normal. 20 halberdiers, then I take 10 handgunners and 10 swordsmen at my detachment. Let's say Niklas charges me with his Kislevites because we had a falling out or something. Then my handgunners can stand and shoot if you charge my halberdiers without penalty because they've been trained that way. And then as you have moved your guys into contact with mine during the charge, my swordsman can counter-charge you in the flank to negate your rank bonuses and just get me some sweet +1 on the combat resolution for being in your flank. So if you can if you can pull that off, you can really do some heavy lifting. It doesn't matter if you take some casualties because you're going to take a few casualties since you're only toughness 3. But that's just another way of stacking the odds in your favor. Shooting a few down on the way in, then flanking them, and just negating rank bonuses.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it shows like how like the Empire army is different from, say, the Bretonnian armies, men at arms.
Yeah, they got their own.
Yeah, they're just simple humans, but they're very versatile, and they've been trained to work together, and that's how they defeat their enemies.
Yeah, and I mean, interestingly enough, it ties into the steampunk aesthetic of the army because they're greater than the sum of their parts. Because
as long as everything works. Yeah, as long as everything works together, it's a great army. But you have to use the characters to buff the units, use the detachments to stack combats in your favor, flank stuff with your knights, and take out monsters with your cannons, and you're all set. You win every game, just like I did back in the day.
Yeah. And that's why I'm kind of hesitant when people say that Empire is a good starting army because it makes it sound like it's easy to start with and like then you're done. But yes, it is easy to start with, but there's a lot of depth you can get out of it. Like you go so far.
Get a box and paint up some units and just use them as they are. That's pretty easy, but you're not going to win that many games just using the stuff straight out of the box.
I think what people mean when it's like a easy beginner army is that you can pretty much buy any kit and it'll work for it. You don't have to think of army composition as much
and not as many special rules to remember with the units. You get stubborn on your greatswords. That's about it. Otherwise, you get your weapons good 3, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 attack, leadership 7. Everything is pretty basic, so you don't have to learn as much.
No, I agree. But also, like, if you look at 8th edition, this is just me, and I always love the magic portion of any given game, like psychic powers, magic, call whatever you want. And I think it's so cool they can have one mage or several mages for any different indications.
Yeah.
It ties into the Tolkien aesthetic because some of the old sculpts really very clearly is supposed to be either Saruman or Gandalf or Ratatown.
Yeah. Like the Grey Wizard, the old one. That's pretty much Gandalf.
We're not saying it's Gandalf, but it's Gandalf.
but it's Gandalf.
And
Yeah, that's the fun thing.
The Jade Wizard is Radagast, basically.
Yeah, but that's a good thing. You can theme your army pretty much how you want. I'm going to do a Middenheim army, so I'm going to focus a lot on close combat, not as much shooting and not that many cannons or other technological stuff. It's pretty backwards place, Middenheim. We got your traditionalist axes and crossbows, stuff like that. But you can do a Nuln army and just have like an artillery train and just take handgunners as troops. You can do a knightly orders army and just take a knight character, some captains and horses, and just knights if you want to. You can take a life wizard and do like a hippie army, just trying to bring life and happiness to the world.
And I mean, like, if you ever get tired of painting your colors or regiment, you can have like hunters or marksmen, or my favorite, the Free Company Militia.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do some stuff with that. I've got 15 now. I'm getting some more that I've scored for cheap. So I'm going to convert them into like a halberdier regiment. That's a bit ragtag.
And what are the Free Company Militia? Tell us.
The Free Company Militia are like your basic dudes who are like the dispossessed, the angry, the out of work guys just running around in the streets being picked up by the army and just you guys are going to be militia now and fight for us. So
during a siege and stuff, those big people
also like, these guys have had their homes burned down. Here you have a club. Now go fight for us in a unit.
Yeah, or it can be like mercenaries as well.
Given that most of the empire is a small community surrounded by large swathes of forest, you could just easily make them be like the local few farmers fighting.
Yeah, local farmers or the local police or whatever.
You get a lot of freedom with this unit, and it's really cool. Yeah. It's just like rabble.
Yeah, they say the weapons are armored part. Free Company fighters are armed with a haphazard collection of weapons, including swords, daggers, halberds, bludgeons, pistols, whatever. For all game purposes, all mods in the Free Company unit count as being armed with two-hand weapons, regardless of what they are actually wielding. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not going to use mine as fighters. I'm going to use mine as halberdiers and convert them a wee bit, but it's great for having just like a throwaway unit. You can take a detachment of just 5 Free Company fighters. Use your Mordheim miniatures, use your whatever miniatures. Doesn't matter what they're armed with. It counts as two-hand weapons anyway. Great for getting to paint something different. And if you want to paint something really different, let's say I paint my units as Middenheim. I get tired of painting white and blue. Oh, well, there's a regiment from Altdorf on loan to this army, so I'm going to paint some red and blue instead, or green and blue, or whatever the fuck it is. Just paint something different. It's just basic humans anyway. Have a regiment from Nuln, have a regiment from Visenland, anywhere. It's all good. They work together.
Yeah,
or you can do a whole army with every unit is from a different city-state, and this is like the Grand Empire Army with a bit of everything in it.
Yeah, the Grand Unified Empire Army, which is a great thing. I don't know if that's Storm of Chaos or not. I think one of the things I really got hung up on is the fact that it says, I think it's a 6th edition one, where Gnock sent us it's an intro to 6th edition book for Empire, where like one of the lordlings is being trained by his master of arms, and they go through what everything is, and they describe the Free Company militia as like dispossessed adventurers going from town to town, just like making some money for drinks between adventures. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
That is pretty cool.
I just imagine like these super cocky adventurers. Yeah, cleaned out some gnobblers from a den last week. I guess I'm signing up for local lord fighting army, and they're like, now fight these skeletons. Oh,
oh shit! I've only got weapons get 3, mate.
I'm only giving 5 silvers for this. Of course, I have leadership 6.
Leadership 7 actually. So still as brave as a regular state troop guy,
and just as brave as a ghoul.
Yeah. That's pretty brave. Good enough for me.
So, like, do you have, I was sort of ragging on before, do you have anything from 8th edition that you're like, yes, I really like this sculpt? It's a bit ridiculous, but I really like it.
I do like the war altar of Sigmar. That's pretty cool. I'm going to go through the book now and see all the nice stuff. New Griffin, don't like that. New captains, don't like that. Celestial Hurricanum is pretty cool. Lots of useful bits if you're going to do some wartime stuff. Let's see. Demigryph Knights, pretty cool.
Yeah, page
Like
47 is the War Altar of Sigmar.
Yeah, I like that.
I would say that the Empire got a lot of nice stuff in 7th edition when they made like steam tank plastic.
Yeah, I'm getting one of those. Just
that's one of the great swords came as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit sad that they didn't get a new knight kit because the plastic knights are pretty fucking old. Yeah, they work all right, but would have been nice. But we can't have everything. And new pistolier kit as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, love those guys.
Can you just use the Bretonian Knights?
No guns. The War Altar is like by far the coolest thing. I'm thinking about getting it just to get to use Volkmar and have those horses like as steeds for my general or something, because they are much cooler than the regular plastic knight horses.
Fab.
Yeah, we'll see. This is not gonna be cheap, this army, but well, money isn't everything.
And just imagine that honor is forever, and being buried with your plastic models is obviously the way to go.
Yeah, just look at the old Chinese emperors with the terracotta army. That guy knew what was going on.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, Chris, Niklas, did you guys ever face the Empire? Because I've got some harrowing tales of suffering, but before I start griping, anyone else would chime in about the Empire?
I don't think I've ever played against them, actually.
They usually died quite quickly when I faced them.
What did you play? High Elves?
High Elves, Dark Elves, or Dwarves. But that might also be down to, well, lack of practice of my opponent more than anything else.
Yeah, it's not an easy army to use just for anyone. But Crawley had some harrowing tales about getting beat up by Empire.
Yeah, I have so many. Basically, when I started playing Warhammer Fantasy, I played against my friend who was, along with my other friend, I'm going to call him F and R here just to keep them apart. They played 40k and Fantasy around since, I guess, 4th grade. So when I got into it, I was like getting a middling Fantasy undead army, and they already had huge armies set up. And one of them had an Empire army and a Dwarf army, and he had perfect eye measure. So the first couple of games we had, I didn't really understand the detachment rule, which really screwed me over and over again. But I think one of the more harrowing tales I had was when I managed to charge like his core army of great swords with a warrior priest in them. And I charged him with skeletons, and okay, he's immune to fear. That's not great. And then my wolves charge him from the side, and I don't really get any flanking bonuses because he has detachments. And then my vampire tries to fight his priest, but the priest is really good at fighting the undead. So my 250 point vampire bit the dust from being struck in the head by a magic hammer. And then he just shot. Other times he'd like snipe my vampire with a cannonball.
Yeah, that's a great thing, like the turn 1 shooting the vampire lord with a cannon.
Yeah, and in 6th edition, I could even have like a 2+ ward save, but the first time I failed it, I lost my save altogether, and he just shoot me with 2 cannonballs and I'm out. And that's my entire army. But they're also fun to meet because it's not like he was a douche about it. He had a big blocks of infantry and he marched up and he'd face my skeletons, and usually I'd try to raise as many skeletons as possible and charge him in the flanks. So we had a lot of epic battles. Like we'd build up a gate and we'd fight before the gate, and if I won, I'd get extra points for the next game, which I never did. But it was really nice about it. It's not as bad as when I faced a dwarf, because I think, Chris, what is it, like 80% of the army is immune to psychology?
Yeah, it's not the favorite vampire count's opponent, right?
No.
No.
But I remember like the sheer diversity of an Empire army, the ways you could go with it, the way you could publish. It's an Empire army done correct is one of the best combined arms armies out there.
Oh yeah.
I'll fight anyone on that.
That's I'll second you on that. That's correct.
And I mean, along with Niklas Kislev armies, they are the one thing holding back the great unhemmed tide of chaos.
Yeah, those high-ends
They
and ultimate
were.
ain't doing shit. They still are, damn it.
No, they
Still
were.
used to be.
I am still stuck in Storm of Chaos, the original one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they were basically wiped out.
They just passed Trokislam in that one.
I remember.
Yeah.
They sacked Erengrad and then they headed for Middenheim straight away. They didn't even invade Kislev this time.
Poor Erengrad just keeps getting sacked.
Yeah.
So Jens, I'm like listening to this podcast right now, and I want to get into Empire, and I want to start up an army. What direction would you say? What should I get? Because the army battalion boxes aren't out there anymore.
Yeah, that's the hard part. You can find some on eBay, some stuff like basic infantry, but get a few blocks of basic infantry. Doesn't matter if they're spearmen, swordsmen, or halberdiers. They're all shit anyway. The thing that makes them great is having detachments. So just get like 20 dudes of something, give them 2 detachments of 10 guys each of something else, and that's a pretty good start. Get some of that, get a few knights if you can find them, source it on eBay, use third-party sellers. I don't know who has this shit anymore. I'm guessing I've seen some good stuff from Warlord Games have this pike and shot game, which is basically the 1600s Germany, city-states.
You can get a Swedish army in that game.
Yeah, get a Swedish army.
Woodland.
Yeah, paint them yellow and blue. Put some regular Warhammer bits in there to make it look more fantasy.
Put some
And you're
Sabaton on your playlist.
Yeah, and just go charge everything that's not a pure human.
I've checked while we've been talking now, just to see where you can still get the miniatures. And Games Workshop still sells quite a few of them.
Yeah, but that's the new not puffy shirt guys. That's the
Yeah,
wrong
but
kind.
I was thinking of if you want ease of access more.
Yeah, they usually like go out of stock a few times every year, so I don't think they produce a bunch of them anymore. But they're still out there on GW, the swordsmen, the crossbowmen, I think, stuff like that.
You can get great swords, pistoliers, outriders, handgunners, the multi-box of swordsmen, spearmen,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
then the archer kit, basically the ranger kit, right?
Yeah, and that's basically all you need. That archer kit is pretty great for just useful bits. There's a dead bird in it and a wounded orc, so you got some good stuff.
You can also buy the cannons, and I think you can buy the steam tank, and then there's Forge World.
Yeah, you got the Manan's Blade and the Null Iron Sights, right? I don't think those are available.
Ironside,
Yeah,
from Forge World.
Yeah.
So maybe.
I think what you can get from Forge World is that special character, the Lord of Death Mage on the dragon.
Yeah, on the dragon. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
you
cool.
You can buy the Iron Sights, but only the upgrade kit.
Yeah. All right, it's only upgrade kit, yeah.
But those, both the Manan Blade and the Iron Sights, aren't both of those upgrade kits for the regular plastic kits?
Manan's Blade are solid resin
Ooh.
guys, I think.
But you got the Command Squad, and you got the Command Set, and you got Leopold the Black as well.
Oh yeah, I need the
I mean-
balls. Yeah.
Yeah, Leopold the Black and the Empire Command kit is really good value still. I mean, particularly
Yeah.
Command Squad.
Leopold the Black is a pretty cool character on his Spotted Warhorse. He'd make a great general for
Even if you don't use him as a special character from the...
just a regular fucking electric count or something like that.
And
Looks
it's a good way to theme your army again around that particular city state, which is Marienburg in this case.
Yeah.
It's a bit sad that the land ship isn't available anymore.
Yeah, that was a massive kit, and the guy on the phone with the balls out is not available anymore either. Sadly.
I just read the description of the landship in the Tamarkan book, and it's so fucking good. Because I mean, when you released it, you were like, "This is fucking ridiculous." Why would they build it? And then in this book, they're like, "This is fucking ridiculous." We built it anyway.
Yeah, because we're fucking rich.
Yeah, so
this
if you want
dragon is
to, like,
beautiful.
if you just say the story quickly, it's like Marienburg wanted steam tanks because they're no longer part of the empire. But you can't sell the steam tank for an empire because it's under penalty of death to share your secret. So Nolan promised to build them steam tanks, but he couldn't get an engine small enough to propel a tank. So like after several years of trying to build it, and holy fuck, Marienburg just pumped more money into it. They're like, well, Marienburgers like boats, right? Since you put a big engine inside a boat and put a cannon on it. And so like the guy, when he was presenting it, could barely hold himself from laughter. Like, it's just fucking ridiculous.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this thing and it looks amazing. I mean, I love it. It's just so over the top.
Yeah, who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, and I mean, okay, we're laughing
I
at it right
would
now.
want that.
It's not without some historical precedence. If you look at like the tank development during the during the First World War, particularly in the post-war days, that's what they did. They just did bigger tanks. They
Yeah.
couldn't have super better cannons. I mean, armor can only go so thick. You don't have the best engines, so you make bigger tanks. Historically, it's what people have done. Bigger swords, more powerful penetration of like a catapult or trebuchet. You build bigger. So I mean, yes, we laugh at it now, but historically speaking, there is some vague precedent for this. If you don't believe me, check out Zeppelins.
Zeppelins are
Yeah.
awesome.
I really like those Zeppelins where they all of a sudden decided we should put aircraft inside them and use them as flight bases.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, for weird stuff out there, there was actually during the Second World War, they made a battleship in England out of solid ice. That's
Yeah.
a real thing, and we laugh at
Well,
that.
not only ice. It was pykrete.
Yeah, that too. And I mean, come on, history, be weirder than Warhammer, please.
Well, we could also go back in universe for the Empire. There were several different versions of the steam tank.
Oh yeah, there's
One of
like,
which was the fighting platform with engineers on top of it.
yeah, that was great stuff. You got that. You got the one with the Hellblaster in it. You got one that's just like a mortar carrier. Pretty cool stuff.
So could you like customize your own steam tank? Like
Yeah,
did it have
there's-
White Dwarf rolls?
There
Yes.
are rules for that in the General's Compendium, both of them. Oh, well, General's
So that's-
Compendium and the Citadel Annual.
So it's like Warhammer 40k 4th edition build your own vehicle.
Oh yeah, you can
Ooh,
like
cool.
choose to add cannons and fighting platforms, and you just
Mortars, a Hellblaster volley gun in the front.
So you can do pretty much whatever you want, and there is some nasty builds you can do because you lose steam points and like wounds from the model for certain upgrades you take, but you can just take it with the cannon and no standard upgrades, and then you can just, if you charge someone on maximum distance, I think you do like 6d3 strength 6 armor piercing impact hit on strength. Yeah, a lot. And yeah, that's just, you can do some nasty stuff with that if you're into that.
And I mean, is there a better way to pitch the Empire? If you want to do a historical army, like I'm just gonna put it out there, the Carolinians, you can do it.
Yeah.
If you want to do like a badass mercenary army, you can do it. You want dispossessed militia, you can do it. Religious
If
fanatic,
you want
can...
fucking steam tanks, you can do it.
Yes. If you want to go the full steampunk route, you can do it. Whatever you want, as long as it's humans wielding pikes, you done got it, son.
Yeah.
It's talking to Morten before, and he had a good point about the Empire that it's just something good that it's just like basic guys, just like you and me, tending to their crops or whatever. And then there's like, oh yeah, there are like mutated goat men trying to kill everyone you know. Here's a fucking pick. Now go fight them. It's like,
Yeah, maybe shoes if you're nice.
yeah, like the total underdog against like the worst horrors of the fantasy universe. Because fantasy
Yeah,
universe is
imagine
fucking
fighting
full of horrible things,
Yeah.
and these guys have to fight them.
Yeah, and I mean, historically speaking, that's how it worked. You very rarely had big standing armies. It's like, okay, we're getting invaded by neighboring country number 8.
Yeah, but neighboring country number 8, trolls or giants, just
Yeah.
regular dudes, just like you.
Oh, can we
Or-
trust neighboring country number 7? No, there are enemies too now. Here's your pitchfork. No, give me the
Yeah.
pitchfork. Here's your friend's dead axe. Go get it.
And then all of a sudden rats emerged from the sewers and ate the city.
That's ridiculous. Rats are a legend.
No,
It's a
No
rats are
such
not
thing.
gamers are a legend.
No
Yeah.
such thing.
We need to get a guest that plays Skaven because there's so much rich mythology. I want Jens to just ignore everything he says. And then we have Clan Eshin. No, you don't.
No,
Doesn't
you don't.
exist.
Never heard of them. Never seen them.
But to be fair, you could do that on almost everything because everything is banned to talk about in the Empire.
Yeah, unless it's basic humans, I ain't listening.
So,
Skeletons
should
count.
we do a little quick
Yeah.
summary of why you
Yeah.
should play the Empire from an Empire player?
Yeah, okay. Short summary. You got the cool puffy shirts, or not. If you don't want them, you can use the newer models. Not as puffy. But basically, it's basic humans using tactics and discipline to kill fucking trolls and giants and all kinds of scary shit. You got cannons, you got steampunk, you got knights, you got anything you want basically in one army. Versatility and puffy shirts.
That's a good claim. And like, I mean, the story hook, it's so obvious Jens doesn't even have to say it. The story hook is like really great. You roll up your local elector count, you swear fealty to a greater county, and then you roll up your guys. Like,
Yeah.
what are your villages? What are your towns? What is your produce? What do you do? Just theme it around that.
Yeah, that's all you need.
All you need is love and a musket.
Yeah, black powder stuff.
Yes. So,
All right.
Well,
So that was the
that's great.
Empire.
I'm gonna go to sleep now, guys. Life calls.
Fair enough.
I
Yeah.
need to go as well, actually. So it'll be Chris and Chris.
Good night to two of us and see you in the outro.
see you in the
Bye-bye.
hinterland.
Bye, guys.
And welcome to the outro. In this outro, we have to cover the fact that there's actually something coming out next week, as of today, which is the beginning of July, that does affect Warhammer Fantasy and your ability to play it thereof. What are they releasing next week, Chris?
Well, the code ballista for storm costs. Oh, wait.
Oh, how you tease me. No, what they are releasing is the made-to-order Warhammer Fantasy character series, which is
The
basically
champions of yesteryear and fan favorite models from the world it was.
yes.
And I
And
really hope they
apparently
do more than just these 6 that we're going to
Yeah.
talk about now.
because there's so many amazing casts out there, both for dwarves and vampires and the Empire, and definitely Chaos Dwarves, poor Niklas, and also Kislev, and the Goblins and Gnoblars, or whatever they're called. Short guys.
Almost every character model in the Warhammer world has merit.
Yeah, and a lot of them are characterful, cool characters. Like, they convey a lot, I'm not going to say character, they convey a lot of their personality just for the sculpt itself.
Yeah.
So what are they releasing, Chris?
Well, the first one, well, set on imperishable.
In his chariot, which is rare because I haven't seen this shared around a long time.
I know that I have his halberd, or whatever you can call it, in a box next to me.
You should like have that as a lottery prize whenever somebody wants to make a Thousand Sons army.
He's on an elf that was sitting on a dragon once. But this model is really, really cool. It's got all of it. It's got the bells, all bells and whistles. It's got 4 horses. It's got a really nice chariot. It's got a really angry mommy dude on the back that really tends to chase you to the end of the world if you try to steal from him.
Yeah, and he has the war banner. He has the rosary in one hand, which is probably called something really cool in Pesegit, and he has the weapons and the bladed chariot. It's so cool. They even managed to somehow sculpt the wounds on his stomach to look ethereal and magical. Speaking of Tomb Kings, the second cast is also some like unknown generic caster, right?
Oh, it's her sister, wasn't it? Her sister was quite famous, the vampire.
Yeah.
The first of the Lamians.
Yes, the best one.
Yeah, they tried to convert this one.
This is Queen Khalida, sister of Neferata.
The Asp Queen. Right? She's
Yes.
really good with archers, if you want a Tomb King's army.
If you want a Tomb King's army, I would recommend getting this one regardless, because I can't see it costing a lot, like in dollars or kronor, or I don't know, bags of fish if you live in Denmark, or oil in America. I don't know, whatever local currency is. It's late o'clock. So you should get it as a caster mage or whatever. She's
Yeah.
carrying a really cool asp staff as well.
Yeah, and she's basically got asps living inside of her, and she's got poisoned attacks.
So it's like there's a venomous snake through her left arm, around her left arm, and she has scarabs coming around the Jingyan on a cloak. If you just cut around, like do a head swap or arm swap, you can get a really cool character for mage for Tomb Kings.
The sculpt is brilliant. Half of her face is basically flesh, and the other half is bone showing through as well.
Yeah, so the head itself can be used to great effect. Because the head on and of itself could be used as either a porcelain mask with a crack through it that you could do for a chaos sorcerer, or anything else. You just need to trim down the headdress a bit. So I would actually recommend getting it just for conversion purposes, if nothing else.
She's a great character, and with a bit conversion, you can use her as a standard.
Yeah.
Well, standard general instead of a special character if you don't want to use a special character, because not everyone does.
No. And if you're one of those guys or gals or unidentified person who came to this from Heresy and you want to do like a Spire Guard for the Thousand Suns, you could use this character as well. Squad leader, standard bearer, anything else. Now, if you think I'm glossing this character over to jump to the next one, you are entirely correct. The next one is the one, the only.
Grom the Paunch.
No, it's Zachariah the Ever Living on this zombie dragon. And me and Chris spoke about this because this is the one character I remember being banned from the Games Workshop store in Stockholm. Yeah, and he's actually one of the few characters that never came back in any of the other Vampire King books because I don't know how to explain it, because in 6th edition he was a real, I'm sorry if you're younger, but he was a shit fucker. I mean, he's 1,045 points, but he can discroll anything in either turn, and he can do any spell and has +2 to casting, which is super rare, and he's not super expensive. He's 1,045 points, but I've seen him decimate armies. It's ridiculous. And I mean, okay, if we disregard rules, what do you think, Chris? Is it a cool model? Would you get it?
It makes a great use of the standardized plastic wings that GW were using at the time, because those are the same wings that are on the Black Dragon that Malekith was riding, and the Forest Dragon, and the High Elf Dragon.
Yes, but on this one, we made the scales look like purple moss.
Well, that's paint job. But this aside, it is a really characterful model that we said with all of these, because they're classic for a reason, and they're coming back for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the guy. He's a wizened monkey wizard. He's got the scroll in one hand.
That really looks like he's just annoyed at his neighbors and wants to shoot them what they did wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're the kind of character who plays Warhammer Fantasy 8th edition and you want, what's the term? Scroll jockey? Then this is a great model. Use the dragon for something else. Use the rider for a scroll jockey, because he's basically just waving around with his spell scroll.
Look at my scroll and stick.
Look upon my scroll, Team Mighty and Despair. And he has a cool staff as well. If you need a mage for Vampire Count army, or I'm going to go on a limb here, I think just the rider could be used for Tomb King's army, don't you?
Probably with the different paint job and some changes to the runes perhaps on his collar. Maybe paint it to look more desiccated rather than like a vampire face.
Yeah, I stand by that. I mean, the zombie dragon is a great throwback if you're nostalgic. If you're used to the more, how to put this kindly, detailed kits that Games Workshop put out post 2003, maybe you're not going to really love the zombie dragon. I do, but that's probably nostalgia. The rider is aces to me, but like the dragon, not so much. How about you, Chris? Want to give that one a nuanced look, or? I've got my Sherry Rose.
I've always liked this model. I can't really place it why, because it is a bit weird in the aesthetics. The rider looks a bit big for the dragon, but that's because I like really big dragons. But they got nice details. There's a belt holding in the guts of the dragon.
Shit, I didn't even see that. It does. That's amazing. Yeah, that's cool. I guess reluctantly we have to move on. The next one is maybe something for Jimmy. It is Grom the Paunch, which I guess is a goblin lord. You probably got this one way better than I did.
And he's basically named because for the paunch, because he got the paunch.
But isn't that like a symbol of status among the goblins? Because you have to fight for every scrap of food, so actually becoming fat is...
Probably.
It shows his success and accomplishment. I wish Jimmy was here. He could tell us about like the psychology of the fat goblins. We'll ask him next time.
But this one is really nice because it's got the old style green skin faces on them. It looked more like gremlins.
Yeah, this is like full-on Gretchen face. And he has like wolf fur, and he's got like a little Gnoblar next to him throwing a javelin, and the standard wolf sculpt. Would you get this one without nostalgia?
No, I
Me
wouldn't
neither.
even get this one with nostalgia because this. Well, I play dwarves. They hate this guy, and I can appreciate this model for the classic. The classic it is. It is a good sculpt. It's got a really as we said, the old school look of the greenskins before they changed them to be more pointy nosed.
The hands are a bit too big for me. I mean, the face is a bit square. I want to talk to Jimmy about like this the history of this guy, but to me, it's a pass. However, the next one definitely isn't Greece's Goldtooth.
It's the richest ogre there is, the king of the ogres.
Bejeweled scepter in one hand, giant. I was gonna say turkey leg, but he's so big that has to be like giant
It's
leg.
like
I don't know what is
what
eating.
do they call the rhinoxen that they ride?
Yeah, has to be a
Something
rhinox.
like that.
He's
Or
riding. He's
not even a
riding a
horse.
chest of gold, and there's just gold coins running around, and he has like what is that even? Goblins carrying
No,
him around,
those are gnoblars. The smaller the ogres have befriended or enslaved.
and all of them are just bedecked in royalty, wearing tremendously beautiful jeweled necklaces. He has a little crown and cape with his big belly sticking out. I mean, just look at that guy.
Even got
It's
golden rivet silk pants.
This is so characterful. I love it. Maybe it's hypocritical of me to decry the Goblin sculpt and celebrate this one, but I just love him. Everything from his ugly smile to like the neck bearding to the giant scepter. I'm thinking of getting one.
It's a really cool one. And if nothing else, you can get those two gnoblars that are on the front. Just have as special characters that handing out gold.
And is that Nobler on the chest like fanning him?
Yeah, I think it's like a large plume of some kind.
It's amazing. So we're moving on to the last one, which is Gorbad Ironclaw.
Yeah.
I'm not great at orcs, but is he historically important? Did he lead some great raid or decimate some amazing city, or
I can't place him right now. And this
was he a
is
footnote to one of your great dwarven heroes?
well, probably my own dwarven heroes, maybe not the sagas. This is a model that would probably be really fun to paint. What do you think?
I really like it. I mean, it looks a bit like he's holding a power fist to me, but from the board just leaping to him holding a claw, I like the sculpts. It's like you said before, it's the old version of the orcs when they're a bit squarer and had thinner bodies, but I think he looks regal. He's a warboss. 7 out of 10, I would let him ravage my provinces. I would resurrect him as a skeleton.
I don't know if they produce that one still, but I would really rather have seen like Asag the Slaughterer on his wyvern or something.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Apparently this is the guy who killed the Emperor Sigismund and removed the province of Solland from the map, which I didn't even know about. So he did a great job there, I want to say that.
Well,
I don't know where
Solon
Stoleland was.
That's where the moot is, where the
Oh
halflings
really?
live.
Cool. So
They
thanks to this,
still
guys,
live
we
there.
don't have any hobbits.
Well, the halflings are still in the game. You can play them as dogs of war.
Yeah, I know. Like there's the
fighting
cooking
cocks.
guys, and
The
then there's
halfling
the dude.
and the fighting cocks.
Yeah, those are the guys who are led by basically Flashman in halfling shape, right?
Yeah.
Where he's just constantly trying to run away, and they think it's words of encouragement because he runs the wrong way, and he tries to like tell them, "I'm going to charge," and then he actually does it, but he thinks he's running away. I love that dog war.
And I really love the halfling hot pot where you're basically throwing soup at the enemy.
No, we really need to have like a dog war episode in the future.
Well, we're gonna have quite a lot of episodes.
We are.
Planned. So, speaking of, when are these going up? Was it this next weekend?
Mid-July, and they're going to be around for 1 to 2 weeks. Just like if you didn't pick up Manhill's Man Flayers, shame on you. You should buy these. I mean, their goodness.
You should have bought those when they were. You should have bought those when they were properly released about 15 years ago.
Yeah, but not all of us have mastered the art of like arcane summoning and opening a time portal in our parents' attics. I really wish I knew.
Or just buying them, putting them in a braid, and then forgetting about them until like, what was it when I found mine like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's just. You guys are amazing. I sold all of my old stuff, or my parents did for me.
That's what they said. They just threw it away.
That's what they said, but actually, my parents are like secretly playing Warhammer without me. They're like, that scrub doesn't even know the rules. He doesn't even know what a BSB is.
Pretty much.
They're just like vicious internet trolls. Bitch don't even know what sword and board means. Get out. This is
You
gonna
can see
make.
that they have a secret Facebook accounts that you don't know of. Trash talking you on the internet.
That's like, why do you guys keep sharing racist stuff? And they're like, oh, we don't know how internet works. And then when I leave, they're like, break out the real stuff. I think that's everything for this episode. Thanks for hanging around for a second episode. We have a lot of great episodes coming up as well. We've spoken about having more time, Dogs of War, Army specials, whatever you want.
Yeah. And now that we have had a bit of an insight into the Empire as an army, there will probably be a follow-up episode on this one that's a bit more in detail, and we're going to talk about the history and how the Empire is now. Give a bit more of a depth.
Definitely having some follow-up, and that's something we're going to do consistently over all the armies. Where are they now? What are you progressing on? Where are the steps? Because we all know that when we start up an army and you progress a bit, sometimes you change your goals and you move on and you change the way you want to play it and what you're going to put into it.
And while we're doing this, we're also going to evolve our own little hobby projects, our small forces, and talk about them. And because this is, as I think we mentioned in the first episode, leading up to us having a bit of a tale of X amount of gamers, because we're at least 5 of us. So, do we have any spoilers for next episodes, or should we just leave it at that?
No, actually, in the next episode, we've got a great episode. What we're going to do is what you find out when you listen to it.
We're going to take Niklas and then force feed him Idoneth Deepkin.
Oh shit, like imagine if we do that. Shit. He'd find us.
Time have ended, and the realm of elf, dwarf, and man shattered. But in our hearts, the old world liveth.